Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Adil bin Muhammad Shah from ED 248 ELC 5903H with a student number of 2022898782. And today I will talk about my informative speech, which is the impacts of invasive species on the ecosystem. This is a news article that has been collected from April, which is about a TikTok user which released thousands of frogs into his neighborhood and causing bad consequences onto the ecosystem. This is one of the example of invasive species that we can see. Okay, so what is invasive species? Invasive species is a newly introduced creature that usually overpopulates and damages its environment. The invasive species are disruptive in nature, which cause impact to the ecosystem, environment, and economics, and indirectly affecting habitats and bioregion. Next, we take a look at how invasive species can spread. Firstly, invasive species are primarily spread by human activities, which is often unintentionally. And because of how quickly people and the communities that we use move throughout the world, we frequently bring unwanted species with us. For example, zebra mussels, which is spread by ships in their ballast tanks. Nutria, which is a large rodent native to the South America, and the brown tree snakes. So now that we know the samples of the invasive species and how does it spread, we can take a look at the impacts that it brings to the ecosystem. Firstly, we can take a look at the impact of the food webs. Let's take a look at the statement, which is direct predation is the predominant mechanism by which invaders can dramatically decrease population of indigenous species or even cause their extinction. This statement can be backed up by this pie chart. As we take a look at first the pie chart A, the non-native species are higher than the native species. This is usually because it is newly introduced into the ecosystem. And then we take a look at the second pie chart. We can see that the native species and some of the unknown species has become lesser because the non-native species has caused the native species there to reduce in number. This can be shown in the invasion of lakes by huge species that usually develops into top predators, which is the species that predates is the smallmouth bass or the rock bass. This invasion caused the catch rate of native species by 6 times lower. And then we can take a look at the brown tree snake. In the late 1940s, the brown tree snake were accidentally brought to Guam, which is an island in the South Pacific. This snake doesn't have a natural predator in Guam, so its species thrive in living there, which caused the extinction of 9 out of 11 forest-dwelling bird species on the island. Next, we take a look at the impacts of invasive species on the environment. Nutria, which is a large rodent native to the South America, brought to North America in the 1900s in hopes of raising them for their fur. But the farmers there failed to do so, thus the nutria, which is no longer used for them, are released in the wild. After that, The nutria then become a major pest in the Gulf Coast and Chesapeake Chesapeake Bay regions of the United States. This is because the environment there, which is tall grasses and rushes, give numerous organisms food, place to breed, and refuge. The, they also aid in stabilizing the soil and sediment, which can avoid erosion of the ground. These this environment are then destroyed because of the nutria that eat all these rushes and tall grass. Lastly, we take a look of impacts on the economy of invasive species. Kudzu, which is a climbing vine native to the Asia, is purposefully planted on the southeast of United States in order to stop soil erosion. However, it has unintentionally cost the forestry industry millions of dollars in lost production. This is because the damages to lost forest productivity for southern commercial timber producer has reached as estimated as high as 48 per acre and can even increase to $118 per acre per hectare each year because this kudzu is out competing, suffocating and physically destroying the native vegetation. And the cost for controlling the kudzu can even reach $200 per acre per year. The impacts of invasive species en- on the economy can be further explained by using this invasion curve. We can see here that on the early stages, if the prevention occur, the control cost will be very low. However, if we did not do prevention, eradication and containment, the control cost will be skyrocketed as the longer the species has invaded the ecosystem and which cause high control costs and more damages on the ecosystem. So, in conclusion, we we need to know that it is important for us to know about the invasive species and its impacts on the ecosystem. And authorities needs to educate the public about the invasive species and usually take safety precaution in order to avoid the spreading of invasive species whether intentionally or unintentionally. And with the knowledge of the subject, earlier resolution is possible with minimum consequences and can reduce the damage and the control costs subsequently. Thank Thank you very much. That is all for me.